Yeah, every week it's something different.
Computers, Mike.
Yeah, just, well.
Meeting order. Sorry. One. Is the pledge. It's what I. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence in memory of the deceased firefighters of the district.
Roll call. Down. Here, Ryan. Here. Here. Rich. Here. Bobby. There.
Okay, everybody's here. The pen malfunction up here.
There should be a spare in there.
That one.
All right. Public session for agenda items only. No agendas for you.
We're on the table.
And there's some more right here. Should anybody-
Anything for public session? All right. Having done. This will be the last month for the fire district committee, reports and WFD building upgrade. Close that out, we've closed the bond, but the last report, so doesn't mean things can't come up again, but I think it will be a dedicated. Right. So Mike or Bob, can you just eliminate that?
Yeah.
From future reports?
Yep.
DFD president's wrong.
No building use request or new members voted, for the month of August. Fundraising letter that Terry had, found at last month's meeting, revised and sent it to the fundraising committee. Organization needs emergency services. So the fire department's gonna just do our own, in-house. Awarded 3 scholarships to our, family members of the members. Did the one that's done with the.
All right. Regarding DFD building use, as said, we did have a longtime life member pass away. It's a funeral reception at the firehouse. So that needs approval retroactively. Yeah. It was for Teddy Williams, who I'm sure a lot of the old timers might skill. That. Second by Rich, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. WFD president's report.
Going to read it, he's not here nor the president, but I have a copy of it. If you want. Or,
Recap if you just want to kind of give the highlights.
sure, there's no building use one for this month, the executive board, we have a social member who applied, who wanted to go from social to active, so the executive board. At our meeting last Tuesday, approved for that to happen, we that you guys got a copy of that?
Is it Kevin?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is Kevin.
Yep, okay, yep, we have that here.
Eric Sanch resigning from the fire department. Regarding 2% tax. Looking into, get additional funding. They're looking into assistance and looking into dropping in the addresses. Family picnic is canceled, as it's been already said. The only other thing I see here on here, is about the beverages. The district, as far as looking for, retention and possibly for you guys to look at a recoup from that. In closing, as president, I hope you continue to have communication and good working relationship going about. Recruit numbers. So as a department, we can provide the best emergency service possible. They will send.
Thank you. I think as far as the beverage piece, the first thing we need to do is over the course of the next month, we'll even touch base with Terry to see what's legal and allowed. Well, we spent a lot of time talking about it. I know, it's even like after a call or a drill, in order for us to, for the chief to be able to provide like pizza or beverages, we had to pass a formal policy on rehab that said that was all allowed in order to meet the auditor's snip test, for lack of a better.
I would like to know.
Well, over the course of next month, we'll chat with Terry to just see what, if that can be done, if so. Are there any limitations, things like that? Any questions for either of the two presidents? Commissioners? Right? And WFD doesn't have any still use requests. Approval of the prior month's minutes. Not here, so I won't vote on that. I was at Boston, for my son at Federal, so.
What would they look for? Forward. Make a motion for.
Great. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll abstain. Motion carries. Treasurer's report, Sean.
Here are the bank reconciliations we review and sign off on. As of July 31st, the money market account has a reconciled balance of $1,984,280 of that amount. $628,820 is general fund, $1,193,799 capital reserve equipment. $109,403 capital reserve building, $52,260 capital reserve repair. We earned almost $6,000 in interest in that account. The Waynesville bank rec balance is zero. That account did close that out. Checking reconciled balance $146,971.15, earning $254 with interest and a total of $5,065 in interest year to date. The subsequent pages are copies of the bank reconciliations and the bank statements for those three accounts, as well as all the checks that were cut, cash, and cleared the bank in Rich County. The fourth to last page is a list again of all the checks that were cut and approved last month, and then the actual budget are the last 4 pages of this document, showing we still have little $400,000 to spend.
Any questions for Sean? Entertain a resolution to accept the treasurer's report. All right, John, second by Rich, roll call.
Aye. Brian. Aye. Dan.
Aye.
Rich. Aye. Bobby.
Aye. Okay, approval of the current month's invoices. It was my turn this month. They over, they appear to be in order. Any questions? Great.
Resolution.
Any a second, resolution made by Rich. Second by Brian, roll call.
Got it. Aye. Brian. Aye. Dan.
Aye.
Rich. Aye. Bob. Aye.
Resolution carries. Correspondence, Mike.
Yep. We received there's a seminar series announcement with the State Chiefs Association. So that announcement there, and then OFPC sent an invitation for the fallen firefighters memorial ceremony. That was it, like month.
Questions? Old business, driver training policy review.
I started looking at, basically a lot of different first to, substations, try to get in one district form. I do want to reach out to BFIS, start sharing them. get it kind of cleaned up initially, because right now it's a mixed match of different policies. Just want to reach out to BFIS to get a feel for, if we get into an accident, more serious type accident, what is a sufficient qualification plan, requalification plan to cover us in the event if we get sued, for lack of a better term. So you're either just everybody's, spitballing, if it might be this, might be that, just reach out, hear it from them, like, here's our policy currently, is this sufficient? They might say you're weak here, is this just getting along with the insurance to see, so hopefully I'll send it, get in contact and go back to them, small, they have some drafted, which I'm going to start reviewing for this report.
Great. Grant writing information, Mike did reach out to.
Bourbon,
Yeah. For two commissioners to have this initial meeting, two commissioners and Sean, and the due date she offered didn't really work out. So we decided two commissioners to participate, and then I think we'll just coordinate a date that also works for Sean and Bob. Set this up, so if you're interested in being one of the two commissioners. Right, yeah, you know what, you want to get this sign, depending on what it is.
If you can.
All right, so why don't you do it, then either Brian or I. All right, maybe I'll just give her an initial first of all, see what her availability is. So if it's during that time, right. All right. And Bob, I was also going to, you had a really good idea, which
I have a second question. Did you talk to Terry about that? What we talked about was trying to find out ones maybe through state chiefs or that.
yeah, so, I was just gonna call over there, like, okay, so. But I think that was a really good idea. They just had a list of. People. Maybe if this firm is great. Grab something to compare to.
But we can also sit there. Maybe, of course, which is sort of standard, you know, the one.
Then Terry Ellis, Success Association Fire. I believe it's Terry or.
Yeah,
Eric-
I'm
I
on. You're
told you
coming a
that,
little
yeah.
choppy.
What's that?
I had mentioned to you, because we pay a pretty good
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
membership fee to them, we should utilize their services.
No, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, still good. That's a good idea. All right, 2% funds. Spring inventory. Shared that spreadsheet that he got from the state. And Dan, you looked through it, came up. List, back to your list. I had attempted without much success, and I don't know the streets as well as being chief and two big dispatcher. I tried uploading like what we had DFD and from our drive to that to AI to see if it could pick it. I was not the other day. Did we have you or is anybody else able to look through that list? DFD.
No, my suggestion is I use the resources. She got the every quarter, you should get it added in town, but. As the our last box level thing, all the streets are in there, but I know we've already had. Double check, but it was fairly correct. Not as much as she was about.
At a glance, I mean, just my limited knowledge, I thought there were some streets, Elsie Way, you know, that newer development off of Blooming Grove, I forget all these streets, but I think some of those are missing.
Yeah, Bernie Loop. So, Mark,
The ones would be Troy addresses in the system. You know,
Yeah.
and so those are the ones we really gotta jump on.
Mark Lasavita forwarded to me a listing of things he sent in to the same gentleman that I'm working with back in 2021. So we do have some information. Now, we also have a contact with Rensselaer County. I think it's their IT department who's going to get us a copy of the database. So between Mark and I, we're going to kind of work on that, and then we'll probably go reach back out to the chiefs just to verify some addresses. It will take a little bit of time, but we'll definitely get to a point where we can see if things were taken off, why were they taken off? I think that's the big question. If they were on there, then why did they come off? You know, the gentleman made it very clear, and I think I made it clear to the memo I sent to everybody. They don't at financial services just like take people off. However, he did explain that whole part about, what is it, the meadows? Yeah, the meadows, that there could be a big chunk of money that went off because the contractors are insuring those properties and then they're being sold. So that could be a big portion of that money could have been because of that. And he explained that, and I think I explained it in the memo I sent, but we're gonna work on it. It's gonna take a little bit of time.
Yeah, I did receive $34.66 from the Office of Financial Services. Excuse me, because when they did a reconciliation, they noticed that they underpaid us about $34.56. So I will be splitting that out. Between wine and still the free school get $14.70, wine is favored $19.96.
We'll spend it in one place.
Cases doesn't eat that.
Very fine.
Give me 2 weeks, like, I can't just figure it out.
Boys love their nutty buns.
New business, the HVAC preventative, maintenance contract, sent a pretty detailed email on Saturday. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing. His recommendation that we go ahead with, maximum performance. 627 service years, Bob, that you just want to kind of highlight on that.
I mean, they're a reputable company, they're local. And, you know, I can't speak negatively toward what JCI on the HVAC side has provided to us. However, it's a pretty decent savings. And that's what we were asked to do. And my office is look at all these contracts. It's 1 year. If it doesn't work out and we're like, no, that wasn't for us, then we can kind of go back to the drawing board and maybe go back to JCI. But I just think it's a smart move. Yes, yeah.
Okay, resolution to move forward. And second by Rich. Roll call.
John. Aye. Brian. Aye. David.
Aye.
Rick. Aye. Bobby. Aye.
Okay, in the telephone service as a fire alarm dialers currently, both stations are Verizon and or Spectrum. Bob looked into this thoroughly, recommending that we switch over to cellular. That'll save us some money here on 2 different devices here, Bob. Is there an actual component for that? or-
Yes, it's from Johnson Controls to install. It's a state contract price to install the dialers at each station. It's $1,211.37. Right, even with that, we're still gonna probably save money in a 12-month year because we're getting charged $50 a Spectrum voice line. We're paying $50-ish for Verizon. The Verizon line here, it's never gonna work right because they're not putting any money into landline infrastructure. So it really makes sense to make this move. We have good internet service at both stations for the most part. So we're going to use the wireless and the internet for the alarm systems, and it's going to be actually more reliable and a lot less expensive.
There's a time, and I just, I read this earlier today. It struck me now, there was a time that ISO would deduct points for anything other than connection.
Not anymore.
Not, that's one for myself. Okay.
And because.
As long as we don't come, you know, a year from now, I associate here and they, so you guys lost a bunch of points because you went to the internet.
Yeah, well, we want our fire alarm system to work.
I realize that. And I so could be, you know, they're still looking for hose clamps on every fire.
Yeah.
So I mean, they could be a little archaic too, but I just want to paint ourselves in the corner.
All right, entertain a resolution. All right, roll call.
John.
Aye.
Right, hi, Dave.
Aye.
Rich. Hi, Bobby. Aye.
Resolution carries. The window modifications and costing. Like to highlight this. We should move the windows down.
Well, as you can see in the email, I mean, long story short, they've got seepage and infiltration of water throughout the windows there. Some different initial idea how to fix it was pull the windows out, redo the whole track that the windows sit in. Getting different quotes from $58,000 to $138,000. Bob, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but reached out to his caulking company, Durivage, I think it was.
Yep.
Where they looked at it, and if I'm not mistaken, they did the work when the firehouse was built itself.
We did.
And the recommendations is kind of do this recalling thing for just under 20,000. It was at 19 and change. It meant $950. The entire job, repair the windows and do the seams and joints would require the windows to be taken out and all the work on the tracks there. So instead of the 58, we go with the caulking. It's under $20,000.
Right, and the only thing to clarify with the report that was submitted to the board by CSR, there is a slight deviation in what we're proposing now, which CSR agrees also. It's removing some of the rubber gasketing around the windows and doing what they call a wet silicone seal. So they remove the rubber gasket and do a wet silicone seal, go up the sides a bit, and then the box aluminum, extruded aluminum, they seal that with the appropriate color so it doesn't stand out at all. From a distance, you won't even know it. And that way, we don't have to go in to start doing other things that we thought maybe we would do. All the window contractors said, what you were proposing is probably not the best thing. Do the wet silicone seal. And two of the contractors said, have Debrino do it. And Debrino, I mean, they seem like a great company to work with.
The price.
Yeah, it's under 35,000, but we got comparable quotes, but yeah, we would want, so we
Did
can.
we already approve to spend more than that with the, you know?
No, you didn't prove anything yet.
I think we discussed. it.
No.
I'll make those solutions we follow with the proposal as mentioned with. Company. Need a second. Second by John. Roll call.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Dan.
Aye.
Rich.
Hi.
Aye.
When they start that, Bob?
I'm gonna call them tomorrow. I'm not sure, but I'll try and, they are a busy company. It took me 3.5 weeks just to get them there. But he promised it would be done before, the end of the fall.
Oh, should we get one?
Right. Website.
Separate,
Yeah.
in Dropbox thing.
Posting costs $300 a year. Backups. Registration $18.50 a year. Current website. Apparently is not available, so what are actual recipe then, Bob?
Well, $1,250 would be his.
No, you said the current one appears unavailable. I mean,
Oh, we're having problems.
but what would it be I know we've been having issues, but can you talk about that one
Yeah,
more?
so, Adam and I just can't get it to work.
No,
And so anyhow, we were, I was talking with Bob. Bob said that Andrew here can do that because of the freeze fill. He gave us a quote, 1,250 to set up the site, train me on how to use it, and then it'll just be the annual fees thereafter.
I feel like right now it's NGFD that would say that, or would it be?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I just, yeah, it would still stay the same.
The way I read the memo, well, there was a problem getting that, or securing it?
No, he wanted to get in to look at it so that he
Okay.
could. What Andy will do is if he can get in the website, it'll make it easier for him to see what the page is and kind of
Okay.
to make the new.
I thought it was a problem with somebody else holding it and holding it hostage or something. We have that element.
It's an old platform that we're using. It was free. Adams Works. He set it up years ago. It was free. It worked. It did what we needed it to do, but
It was a couple of years ago.
I lost my login and he can't reset me up and he's having problems updating it. So we just figured.
Will this guy do the updates in the future, or will he still?
I'll say the update, yeah. Posting the announcements, changing commissioners and all.
Entertain a resolution as well. Okay, in second. Bobby, roll call.
John. Hi, Dan.
Aye.
Rich. Hi. Bobby. Hi.
Great. Chief's report. The update.
Well, I will say this month it's 72 alarms, one of which were in that 2023 when the storms last week. So to thank Bonnie for did well over 100 entries within a week. She has her reports from the monthly meeting, so she did the last week. Thanks, Bonnie. We had a busy month. Nobody calls a porch fire in Smith Ave on 720. So a real quick response to prevent it spreading into the house. So thanks for all the crews to give us that one. DFP, we went to Atlanta fires a week ago. DFP provided fast and Manans covered from DFP. Thank you. Neighbors Crocker. And then the next day we went to Clinton Heights for a structure fire after that. We were able to split crews and provide suppression and fast for Heights. We had a decent accident yesterday on 43. There's a rollover of one trapped. Crews from both stations stabilized the vehicle, are able to extricate out the windshield. Thanks for that. Came out for that. Since you see, we're going to premiere a complete punch list of work for the increased apparatus they plan together to knock out the handful of things in that. Regional part one, going back to times tomorrow, I have AC and the compressor look at again. That's all called new sign AC. The battery fan on 96 out of service, screws bounce, and promotion set of battery terminals. MES got to pick it up and ship it to factory on their dime, try to get it fixed. Replacement battery fan is well over $4,000, so we're hoping that can fix that fan and get back to us real. MES stopped into TFT a couple weeks ago to look at the first battery tools. One of the engineers during weekly checks went to plug all the batteries in and it arced coming off the charger. So MES came in, they inspected all the batteries, all the chargers, everything but that one battery has the white colors, which is good. So we got one battery out of service. Mr. Durivage looked into quotes to replace the first two batteries. It looks like the cheapest for replacements is $850 per battery. They are 10 years old this year. So the plan, at least in the recent side, we might replace one or two this year, one or two next year, and kind of keep them together. So we don't have 12 batteries coming to the age now. But luckily, First is still making that style battery, even though they're generation. So now we come down the pipe. Fire departments, the town, RPI, and the ambulance are going to have a meeting to discuss trail safety in the tech park. We're trying to coordinate between fire district, the ambulance, town, and RPI, pick AJs to sit down and meet. That's going to be challenging, but once we actually set a date, have a meeting and relay the information. That's been a couple of years. Tried to reach out to the town RPI a couple of years ago. We've had several rescues along the trail system. And luckily the town's able to get a good contact with the director there. And get a meeting and talk about some. So if you have any keep visitors and travelers safe down there. North Durivage ambulance is holding a BFS driver trainer course at DFD on Wednesday, September 23rd. Shared information of Chief Wilson, it's got a handful of people as well as us to send the course. So no cost for us because we're a BFS member. North Greenbush and Sam Lake are holding it, so they're leader drivers, they're expanding course, and they just needed a bigger place full class. So that's us, and they were gracious enough to open up class to North Greenbush as well. So we'll have a handful of people in the district in that class on 23rd of September at the DFD. And finally, DFD's Community Safety Open House Night is going to be on Thursday, October 8th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Received a lot of good feedback the last 2 years. We're excited to hold it again. Like thank engineer Perry for planning an event down there. Question, comments, service.
Thank you, Dan. Third and W update.
All right, let's see here, a month, July, was pretty busy, 122 call for service and 66 during that weather event. We lost one electric pump in that time, good. Tomorrow night, we go through all the apparatus, equipment that we used, clean everything up, put them back together. 2026 physical completed, remember the meeting deadline, PPE was removed, they were notified. Moving on to the apparatus, which is always a good story here. Truck 42 got rid of the box, still getting worked on. Yellow warning light that was installed, cooling the shears full of water to be replaced. Air pressure gauge that was waiting out for quite a while, it's finally in. Here's the over, take care of that. Schedule the time to do it. The turbo booth that we spent 3 days waiting for was finally fixed on Friday afternoon or Friday evening. In the midst of that, the down function for the cab wouldn't go down, so we sat here for 2 hours, cab up trying to figure it out. Another fire truck repairman from Albany came over and hooked a couple wires. We finally got it down. State inspection has done that as well. At 427, drivers have window controls also in. So when they order to do the pressure gauge, they're going to do the window repair. And the state inspector's already doing that. And I'll say the rest of the 42 frame replacement conversation when we get to that point. Program here. I mean, that's all I got.
Right? Some previous requests with Dropbox. Or to duty crew. Order for DFA. Let's explain. Questions? Reg, you get second. John, roll call.
Yeah.
Rich,
Bobby.
great. Jump to truck 42 first and then. Rest of the nine. The contract last week for truck 42. Anything on that?
I talked to Chris the other day, that I think Bobby also had it, but he reassured us that time taken by Roosevelt to respond is nothing out of the ordinary. Doesn't matter if you order a mini pumper or whatever, they take forever to say yes. They said, don't read anything in, so you should hopefully.
Signed, sealed, and delivered. So. Okay, Rescue 9 committee.
The only other report is, we continue to gather, individual members continue to gather information on various, heavy rescues around the area. Everybody's kind of submitting to the chief, and we plan in the fall to sit down in earnest and, start going through them, and deciding what fire companies we want to visit, and, what vendors we want to bring in, and what we want to discuss with them.
Right. Big one. Rescue 42 frame issue.
Rescue 42, for those who are not aware yet, is back at Premier. Premier is developing a estimate for souls to remove the body. Soul felt it was beyond their capability to detach all that fire service stuff. So I spoke with Premier at 2 o'clock this afternoon. They've got the information they need to put that estimate together. He estimated, I guess, was a better word. Sometime during this week, they would pay an estimate to Soul, and that's where it is. I spoke to Chief Wilson briefly the other day. It came up at our meeting with Souls and Premier. This is going to extend the timeline. And a very ambitious return date to service would be January 1 at this point. Very ambitious statement. So the discussion came up about the possibility of a living or a rental. Premier is not going to loan or available at this point. They anticipate they may have one come fall, but they really don't know what kind of condition it's going to be in. They're going to have one. They don't know what kind of condition it's going to be in and how long it's going to take them. They think they got to do something to the transfer case on it to make it serviceable. He doesn't know when that's going to be. So we can't hang our hats on that. But since that discussion only happened late Friday afternoon, I have no time today to work on that as well. So I don't know if the chief.
I did look at a couple different places. William Mountain has them. Shop Garage, they do as well as publicly ferry vendors that offer short-term rentals, long-term rentals based on your needs. Just stop them and figure what they have available that they could. It is something that we need to do. And just a correction on that ambitious return date. Mr. Fink, who sat next to me, he was planning saying that February or March would be more of a good date of return that rig, based on scheduling and how things work between Friday and figuring out the plan and figuring out that plan, putting that plan in place, because they have jobs too that not going to push people out of the way just because of us. So he's more anticipating in February or March next year return. So that was a running joke. We're going to truck back on Memorial Day. This could be next year, but he's figuring at least in February or March next year.
That's what they said today. Very ambitious January 1st.
Yeah,
I quote
he took that conversation pretty quick when he that was brought up. He's sure that he has the first year. Does have to be before that. You can shut surprise too. So yeah, there's a lot. We're not going to be able to operate the way we are. Like I said, the last 3 days last week, we were down to one operating fire truck in this firehouse, and that was a conversation for a couple of days. We've never seen it that bad. That we're at that point. We can't rely on neighbors to watch what we're doing to help us out. We just have that capability. It's just no offense to anybody, but we run thin during the day, and then we have one fire truck and there's 15 or 20 guys standing here and they don't know how to get there. So it's something that really needs to be seriously looked at and a quick turnaround time. You can't just wait for it's good and bigger borrowing fire trucks, things like that. It puts a lot of safety in play here with a couple incidents, possible fires, and 2 days after a lot of truck went out of service, we had a rescue guy up on the roof. So it's been a trend, but you could, when you're putting each members at risk, because we're not only having one operating fire truck for 3 days, and then we're kind of back and forth about the spring replacement project, which I can't imagine what that's going to cost. All the work is going to be put into that, and I'm going to be paying for it. And
who's looking into the rentals?
I just kind of peeked around because after Friday's conversation, it was kind of brought up. Steve Gear brought it up in kind of a little parking lot meeting after the fact about it. I mean, it's something that has to be done. It's not something we can just.
Right, just so it doesn't.
It's something you can't have multiple people doing because you
Right.
can't have multiple.
So I guess what's the plan of that? So who's gonna call it so we know if we follow through?
If you don't mind, I'll work closely with Dan. Is that okay, Dan?
That's fine. It'll be just something that's going to, like you said, it's not going to be January. I highly doubt it. And the way this thing's been going, it's
This week, then we should be like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
fall.
Yeah.
That's not.
So I will look up some stuff and get some information and forward it off and then. What you can make those phone calls, how you make phone calls and make contact with people and all those kind of stuff. The research. Yeah.
Something, you know, he's the bail hole, and it's obviously time sensitive, reach out, we'll schedule a quick meeting to approve our.
The one thing that I brought up to the people over there, there's so many unknowns now where we are with this thing. That I asked Premier and Souls to put together a realistic cost. What is, because we, in order to make the best decision, we have to, you know, right now we'll go on, my guess is there's probably additional cost to this. What is that additional cost? Because it may get to the point where it's like, this isn't a hard decision, you know what I'm saying? You know, we turn around and just say $250,000 and we're all done. We could buy an 8 or 9-year-old truck for $100,000 more. It just makes no sense. So before the board, I think, can move ahead, giving them the okay to do anything. I think it's important for us to have an idea of what powers to be sold and Premier, see what we're up against.
But you said they're gonna be getting.
And so, you know, people need to recognize that, yeah, we had a pretty substantial contract with Souls. Premier is now gonna be doing a large portion of that work, so that money comes off Souls contract, goes on to Premier's. Right? And however they work it out, there probably will be additional work. But there's also different, you know, there's a lot of moving parts here, rather, these are potential parts of the contract, potentially, there could be some dispute about this, and I'd rather not, I think we ought to take this further into an executive session.
All right. But regardless, number one on the list is around,
That's
Oh, you guys in the morning.
it's a separate issue.
so. You can look into that and send something out to the board by the end of the week and
Tomorrow.
all right. Regardless of what it's going
I don't know if this.
Sounds good.
Because it's gonna. But just, this is adding on to the cost of the repairs, that if we have to get into this. And get into a loaner vehicle, is it time to start looking at option B? And can we find a used fire apparatus to bridge us to get to something?
But either way,
That's the conversation we had with the whole group and that, and then went out to the parking lot and had another conversation. You know, the biggest thing that you think about here is, you know, the American France. That was the conversation, that was a big point. It's American France. Hard to come by. Those turbo boots were literally a national shortage. It took 3 days and finally found one in North Carolina or Pennsylvania. Ship up here. Then it got sidetracked. They found other shipping. So 3 days the truck was out of service. You know, now with this whole cab lift system that's now having an issue with a lot of trucks, trying to get the cab down. It is something we're gonna stop finding parts for. And this falls back to rescue. When they start taking things apart and start moving things around and disturbing something, what's gonna happen? And this is the way this Titanic has been going. We get the iceberg, so we're gonna sink pretty quick. And it's gonna cost more and more and more. And that's, I think, the biggest fear that you guys should be thinking about or conversating about is where do you draw the line and say enough's enough? Because it's gonna, you know, I know we're not gonna be able to go out and afford a big truck because we gotta buy the big custom ladder truck, you know, but it's come to a point where you're gonna look at cost and what you're gonna get out of it. And honestly, it's a money pit right now, and I think it's gonna get worse.
either way, no matter what direction we go, we're gonna get.
It's gonna cost money.
I mean, you're gonna need a rental, so.
But that'll help make the decision, right? Turn around and Reynolds X number of dollars, and we sit there and say, well, that makes no sense doing X, Y, Z. But that's a decision for the board, and Danny, myself will bring the information.
Thank you all on that. Buildings and grounds, John and Tippy.
Nothing other than what we've already discussed.
Right?
I don't, just one thing, I don't know who does the shrubbery around the perimeter, like by the fuel shed and stuff, I'll just maybe get that up back, like around the hillside here. around the, it's just like overgrown is there.
Yeah,
So-
we'll get a hold of, high tech. What is it? Just some of the branches started to creep over?
On the trees should all move back up again,
Yeah.
on the edge here, the fuel shed, like cut it back like 3 feet,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
If they can't handle it, then we'll get on top of
Just
it
want
in
to
here.
chainsaw,
Yep.
do it ourselves.
Okay, we'll get
Save
it.
some money that way.
Share.
No, they don't do that anymore.
Do it anymore.
There's one person that uses the lawn, he's there once every 3 weeks.
That's not. All right. This is still. You got everything covered, Bill? From Bill, Mr. Brown? There's anything you want to bring up?
No, I think because,
Okay.
the only thing that we're doing that door project, but other than that, they're coming tomorrow, the Simultane's gonna come move their stuff, and other than that, the next day, Matt is sitting here, through the door. We're gonna find someplace to store that old door. So we don't go junking that because we have 5 other doors that mirror it, so. We'll put a rack or something in that shed, but hold on.
All right. District personnel, had an informal conversation with mine, 2 weeks ago, and she was very complimentary about both chiefs. Why, I think both easy to work with and easy to communicate with.
I'm not like that.
So. And
Your room is image.
she did ask me, we do have a system in place, but she has a set number of hours. Obviously, we had. Balls last month, but she needs to go over, she just gets approval from Bob, so that's all. I'll go. She was complimentary of.
And has she seen, other than us, about weeks, but has she seen the hours? Appropriate for what she is?
Yeah.
They're just looking.
You said you revisit now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 40, 42, 43, so it's right around where we expected. This month, it's obviously.
Yeah.
She put a lot of.
Yeah.
You're busy, mom.
That's what you know, Brian, you have anything else on? Personnel? Finance, insurance and LoSAP, me, Brian, and Sean, that with Firefly, or if you wanna.
Well, we end up having the early because the way, I was trying to nerd notes, but, basically, if we start asking questions, like, if we were supposed to get some information to him and back to us, but, he has some different recommendations, we're not ready to go in the direction yet, because we still have time, we got a lot to go, actually, looking at, that might be a better option, we started getting like cost analysis of, if there's certain ages where it's like, you start with like people going to DC plan, sort of propose and say, you should think about 36-year-old, that's probably the, cross paths, but, then we're waiting on. Yeah, there was not more less, you're there like an hour after we were. Right, it was the other questions I forwarded to Steve at the FIS that will help totally make it more complete analysis. So I'm just waiting to hear back, Steve was on vacation last week, so.
That's pretty impressive. He's really got it.
A lot of hours to track together. Yeah. But there's a general feel that, we're not, getting good return on our money. It's fair to say that, yeah,
He thinks there's some more efficiencies that could be had.
yeah, due to how they project out, like 8 years, so like a lifetime.
All right. Budget discussion, John, timeframe, all that.
Historically, we would have a budget workshop at 6:30 before the September meeting. So what's that, the 14th? 6:30, and then usually the regular monthly meeting starts immediately after that. But what I'm sending down the aisle there is just kind of like the highlights. So for this year, we had approved $1,536,473 for general fund budget. And we had $293,861 for capital reserve equipment. For a grand total of $1,830,334. So for the proposed budget, the only numbers that I changed for 2027, and I mean, this is just temporary. I changed the amount of the bond for WFD and for DFD, and that information is attached. Bond information that we have to pay. So that's why there was a slight change in the general fund output or paying. And we had talked in our long range planning that next year we would increase the tax rate, excuse me, $5.85 per thousand assessed value. The assessed value for the town as of July was $346,540,482. So that would generate 2 million at that $5.85, $2,027,262 worth of tax revenue. So what I'm basically, and then we'll have some interest left over, $2,000. So we're looking at $2,029,262. Back out the proposed general fund budget of $1,535,720. That would leave us with $493,542 to go to capital reserve equipment. In the furthest column to the right, this was our proposed, well, this was our projected long-term budget. The long-term planning committee. We projected $1,547,000 spending in the general fund, $473,944 for capital reserve equipment, for a total of $2,021,248. So we're kind of tracking where we thought we would be with this proposed budget. But now what we'll have to do is we'll have to go through line by line in the general fund budget to decide what we want to do. I didn't change any of those. I only changed the budget numbers for the bonds, with WFD. They're a fixed set amount. Okay, so I just wanted to give you some information to go all around. And if you have any ideas and things that we want to purchase, things we might want to cut. It had been brought up, maybe text messaging, we started that because we were moving away from stuff like that.
It's a charge.
Yeah, so texting. So I mean, I'm just. If you start formulating some ideas, maybe email me or whatever, and then we pull it all together. Workshop meeting. September 14th, 6:30. And Bob. So, okay.
In favor of the workshop meeting, 6:30.
I think that. Thank you.
At 6:30 p.m.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long range planning, policies and procedures.
Well, I think we did have a meeting, a small, maybe one try to do it for the budget, because right now, looking at this, we have a 485, 2029. And ladder truck might be below that, but also 2030. So they kind of put some numbers there.
Yeah, I'm gonna read it. Another workshop.
And then the other thing is the there's some talk, didn't really talk on the apparatus thing, but there's talk of cheap cars. The nights and we found a couple of Shaker Road, but cheapest providers talking about blowing up and we're gonna get those used ones, try they're doing that, because that also figured the long range plans, we got money budget for brand new ones. So.
What, the Clinton Heights ones that came up well, what's the status of it?
But these ones, they originally talked about two, when we talked about them originally, they were talking about two. They've clearly done one because it's in, and it's at the, being upfitted right now, lights, striping, radios, that kind of stuff. They had told us that when, it goes in service, we would have first shot or an early shot at the, at one. And so that's still out there. We have no idea when that's gonna be completed at the outfitters and when they're gonna be ready to make the swap over. The Baker Road ones, just, crossed in an email that I got the other day. I shared it with the chiefs and, I think I shared it with everybody. And said, hey, you know, this is out there. The bids, and the bids, I believe, have to be back, mid or late, August. Both of them are around 40,000 miles on them, which is relatively low mileage for fair Tahoes. That vintage, they're well taken care of, you know, so. I looked at one recently. I was in one, not one 6 or 8 months ago, so actually, a little before that, before I got laid up. I was in one, so.
The deadline is August 27th at 5 p.m.
We gotta decide if do we want to, you know, I imagine that we're, you know, there's probably gonna be a number of other departments bidding. They're nice units at a, you know, they're being available. Sugar Road is not a fire district, it's a protection district, they don't necessarily have to go to the lower bid. They have a history of saying, oh, well, this fire department's in their eyes, this fire department can really use them, so. Even though these guys didn't bid as much, though, let's add it to them. They've done that kind of thing in the past, so I don't know if they're, how they're doing it.
Over, take a look at them. Yep, so.
I can take our interest in that.
The chiefs want to go look at them?
But you guys are gonna, I mean, it could be a golf cart, roll right out, like whatever.
Can't accept it.
So it'll be.
Yes.
All right, I'll get it tomorrow, we'll see what we figure out.
But we gotta take action because almost the intention is to put a bid in just for the next meeting.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so that was for.
the fact that it's. Yeah, we don't want to necessarily. That's contract negotiation, I don't know if that would be, as far as talking about, I'm not certain now if that'd be more appropriate. I mean, other people could be bidding on this, you know. We're always we're gonna pay, you know, so. That may be.
We discussed that, then we do it.
I think, but I just.
We're gonna do, we got to do.
Good shit.
Potential, um. Yes. Not that.
Take money out of capital reserve, which means we have to have a permissive referendum. Permissive referendum has to be posted for 30 days before the resolution takes place, spend the money. So.
We'll have to find out where they are. They may be just trying to have a buyer on the line for when their new one's meant too. So there's, I mean, we can find out what the movie or something beginning of.
Yeah.
We don't know that they're.
So maybe we could
I
have
don't know that they're
a
available.
emergency meeting to pass.
I don't know that they're available this moment.
Yeah. Well, I just.
They just go look at them first, and then if we have a meeting.
Yeah, I was going to say it. If they don't have anything,
The way that the post was, those things were on mark sitting in the parking lot, so.
Yeah,
They
that's-
look like they're pretty much ready to.
Okay.
Book sales sign on, put them up the door, so I think there's a week.
I would just hate not having all
I was told, yeah.
everything in place.
Look at all of them.
Anything else on? Any policies? Business operations technology, we talked about the website. The dialers and all that. Development plan review. Do the chiefs have anything on development plan review? Membership, recruitment and retention, we do have the appointment skill application, but. Rich. That's it.
Recruitment section component to the family community night, although that's not its primary purpose. Certainly they'll be doing, we'll be doing some recruitment at that event, or attempting to. But Other than that, I'm not aware of any initiatives at this point.
WFP. Go every week.
I can't hear you.
The Wine Still does the food truck. Down there, and
We have,
you go through recruitment on a weekly basis, trying to, and some of it's successful.
it's like 6 weeks.
Sorry?
We went for like 6 weeks.
Okay,
Just about over, wasn't it?
On Wednesday's the last one,
Just
so
one second.
that's away, so I don't think we'll be going to, but we went 6 weeks and I think we handed out 4 or 5 applications in those 6 weeks, but. It was pretty successful. I mean, I feel like if we're at least getting the applications out there, now it's our job to get them back, so that's.
yeah.
All right. The application here, everything is complete, for Kevin Castle, the third. It is. Scott.
So we got everything here tonight. Yep, we're good.
Had me confused. All right, thank you.
Made by Brian,
Second.
second, Rich, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Public section. Joey.
I would just like to compliment the two departments on each side of town from the workful. Last week there were a lot, but we had a few more than you guys on that side. But the membership over here worked their butt to help the public, so. Thank the chief for giving us what they did because, everybody worked hard.
Yeah, thanks, Troy. They have the state settlements and full teams. Please extend our gratitude to each of the departments for all the work that was put in by both.
There's a lot of positive feedback, not only in, their social media. Constant guidance for their scene issues, so. The guys are doing well.
That call we had this morning, Chief Sheehan was there very quickly to get that little bit of a fire we had on the second floor out quickly. But if we didn't have quick response again today, it would have been a second floor involved fire. So did a nice job today.
Joey, thanks for positive things and recognize. Anything else like the whole session? All right, get.
Well,
Say hi back there.
little observation there. You guys go through tough times. But I think it's about time that you review your long range plan. A lot of things that probably have in it that with what has happened here has to be reviewed again. You're going into a budget that you're once again going to be raising the taxes, which something was very unusual for this district for years. A lot of thought has got to be put into this rescue truck we're working on. It started off at 60,000. Where it's going now, you probably could buy a truck for what it's going to cost us in the long run. As you all know, we're going to fix it. But we don't get a guarantee what's going to go next time. So that's something we got to think about.
Jim? Anything else with public session? Great.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion once that then it says to be discussed. Actually, they get dropped.
Right. Motion made by me, second. By John, all in favor?
Aye.
Good.